just bringing it to you on your map. You see the routes that you can take, and you even see if there is traffic on this way or not. So those are the works of API. Those are the things that the API does for us, on our applications, even your Facebook app, your WhatsApp, or any application at all. It actually requires an API to communicate between two entities, two applications. So I want to believe that's clear enough, right? I'm trying as much as possible not to use the food example. It's too common. Okay, okay, let's just proceed. Um, yeah, API testing is the process of sending requests to an API and monitoring the responses to ensure it's behaving as expected, right? Just like I said. So everything in an API is more like a call and response. For those of us that are quiet here that sings, when they say call and response. So you send something and you receive something. You send a message, you receive a corresponding message. You put an action, you receive a reaction. So that's how APIs work. So when you say API testing, this is now testing that what you actually want your API to do is doing that thing that it's supposed to do. So it says the process of sending a request and monitoring the responses to ensure it's behaving as expected. Just like I made the illustration earlier on. So you are using your web app on your browser. You have internet. You send a request. Say you are on Google. You send a request. Okay, Google. I want to know what is the meaning of, say, API. Of course, you can search anything on Google. Then Google sends that request is sent through an API to the server, and it goes on and on, does all of the searches and everything, and it comes back with a response, giving you some responses, right? You have a lot of, like, Google now is designed to return a lot of responses such that you can choose. So it goes to servers here and there looking for where you can find that information, and it brings it back to you. So that's like basically how APIs work. Also, in terms of the database too, you can send stuff to the database. Like, say you want to sign up on your Facebook account. You enter your name, your surname, your email, and all of your details. Everything is being stored somewhere, which is called the database. And the next time you want to log in, then that is when an API goes again trying to search for that name if it is in the that particular platform's database. That is like Facebook now. If it is in Facebook database, then it comes back with a successful response. If it is not, it tells you that you should go and sign up or something. So API testing is designed to access the functionality, reliability, performance, and security of an API, and is therefore an essential part of the API development life cycle. So it's not just about sending requests and receiving responses, but then you need to actually test if what you are sending is like equivalent or proportional to what you are receiving back. So you need to test for the functionality, you need to test for the reliability, the performance, and the security, and a whole lot of tests like that. So why is API testing important? Why is API testing important? I don't know. Am I too fast? But it seems to me like I'm fast. If I'm fast, you can just call my attention to it, right? Okay. So you can actually use reactions. I can see them when you react. So it helps me to know. Thank you. Yeah. So why is API testing important? Says for quality, we need to ensure quality. Even as software testers, we we are quality gatekeepers, right? So we need to always ensure quality, that okay, this application that we are building is actually doing what it's meant to do, and not just doing what it's meant to do. It is quality enough to go out there for people to use. You know, it's important in terms of data integrity, in terms of performance, in terms of validation. If you impute this thing, is that what it's supposed to take? Is it giving you the right responses? In terms of security too, very, very important. You detect bugs early too. And for this, I can even like say this week, I think, was it yesterday or day before yesterday, I was having an issue with with something I was working on here, and I noticed that this issue was happening, and I was like, what's going on? And while I tried on my APIs, tried inspecting and all of those things, I later found out that it was a particular parameter, key and value that I was missing, that I was supposed to put. And if not for the APIs, I might not be able to see that response and all. So it is important. It helps you to detect bugs early. It helps your regression testing. This morning around 9 o'clock, I have received some of my tests. It runs every day, 9 o'clock every day. I've received notifications that your API test is running and is stable. It helps for that. Unlike when you have to go on the UI and you have to be clicking this, clicking that, and all of those things can be very, very stressful. But your API does everything in split seconds. And also in terms of integration testing, integrating between two applications, integrating between say a payment application and maybe an e-commerce application. All of us, we buy stuffs online, and maybe on Jumia or AliExpress or Konga, anywhere. And we get to a point whereby we need to pay, and then it integrates with maybe Paystack, Flutterwave, or anything. So it also aids that. Also, load testing, you're able to know the capacity of what your application can take and all of those things. And documentation too, yes, APIs to help, and error handling. A lot of times we know what error to display for a particular error. Say a bad request, it's like a 400, 404 not found, and all of those things. So, and also compliance. Moving ahead, so we have different API testing tools, right? So API testing tools are essential for several reasons in the software development and quality assurance processes. It is very, very important. Of course, without an API testing tool, how do we intend to test our APIs? How do we intend to carry out this test? So we have different tools. We have Postman, Swagger UI, SOAP UI, Rest Assured, Ready API, Tricentis, Catalan Studio, RPG, Insomnia, Loadrunner, a lot of them like that. They are very, very plenty. But we'll be using Postman for the sake of this class, right? So yeah, Postman is like very, very popular, maybe the most popular, right? I think I've used Insomnia before, but I I don't really enjoy it as Postman. Postman gives me some feelings, right? There are a lot of things embedded in Postman which most of you can testify to. So we'll be using Postman for our API testing this morning. So yeah, just before we go into our Postman, it is just important that I speak a little bit on what API collections are. So API collections refers to a structured grouping or organization of API endpoints, methods, and related resources. So that is like plenty English, right? API collection is just like a general folder for your API endpoints. That's just basically it. Like it is a folder that houses your endpoints, everything that you need to do. It is a folder. And yeah, so in our API collections, we can make use of all of these following elements like the API request. Yes, of course, those are like the main things that you send to give you responses. Yeah, your endpoints, we have the request parameters, we have the response information, we have the authentication details, we have the folder structure. That is very important because yeah, it helps to to structure your test, to structure your collection. It does not allow just a scattered collection, right? And also documentation and environment variables. We are going to see all of this once we dive into our Postman. Also, we have the environments. So environments in Postman are like containers that hold key value pairs where each key represents a variable and the associated value is the data or configuration you want to use. So what does that mean? Very simple. So it's just like when you say um, a name. Of course, when you say a name, there would actually be a value to that name. So what is your name? You put it there, okay, name is equals to Kende, right? Okay, first name is equals to Kende, surname is equals to Odunuga. You understand? So maybe you have a color. Color is equals to um, um, a red or yellow or something like that. So that's also how environments too they behave. You know, it's your environment that houses all of these things that you can always use and reuse in the course of your API tests. So an overview of the benefits of using environments in Postman. You know, of course, we have different environments that we use, you know, in our day to day, in our workplace and all. You cannot be testing on a production environment. You should have a testing environment. Just like where I work, we have like two, if not three testing environments, right? A staging environment and another environment that's still a test environment. So your Postman environment helps you to separate those environments. Okay, this is the testing environment, this is the UAT environment, this is production environment. So and also it supports data driven testing. Yeah, because we use a lot of data, put data into your environment variables too. You can switch environment as you like. And scripting and automation, you know, it helps for collaboration to collaborate with other team members and all. And also for dynamic testing when you have stuff that are always changing and always changing. And also we have scopes too, you know. We have the global, we have the local, right? So once we dive into it, we are going to still talk more about that. So API testing best practices. API testing is a critical part of ensuring the reliability, security, and performance of APIs. Following best practices in API testing can help you identify and address issues early in development lifecycle. Yes. So there are some things that we need to do, some ways that we need to follow to handle our APIs. So first and foremost, we need to review our documentation. Yes, I know a lot of I know these days a lot of companies whereby they just give a collection without a documentation, which is quite sad, right? But then um, APIs comes with their own documentation, you know, maybe on your Swagger document or maybe a Word document or PDF or anything. They come with their own documentation. So in order to understand your APIs very well, how they work, how the system is designed, it is the documentation that will guide you. It is the documentation that will tell you what to do when you are lost and all. So you need to also plan your test cases very well. You need to parameterize your tests. Yes, okay, maybe you have um, a particular test for authentication, you have a particular test for say orders, you have a particular test for products and all of those things. We'll see all of that once we enter into our Postman. So test environments, I've spoken about that before. It helps you to also manage your test data very well. it's automated testing, CIC, that's continuous integration and continuous deployment, version controlling, error handling, reporting, performance testing, security regression, and we have monitors too and all. Okay, so I think we should move into our Postman now. All right. So I'm trying to share my Postman screen. So let me know once you can see my screen. Yeah, so this is this is our Postman, what Postman looks like. Of course, like I said before, we are not new to this, maybe just some few people. So we have workspaces that you can use in your Postman, and you can even create, a workspace and all. I think we should create a workspace. So I want a blank workspace, and I want to name it testers. Testers quarter. Right. You can give it any summary. You want it to be a personal one. Then you create. Yeah. So this is our workspace, right? And we don't have any collections here. So the workspace basically is just like a house or a compound where you can have different houses or different rooms inside. So it's just like your own space, right? We all have workspaces in our homes or at our offices. Yeah, it's just like your place where you can do all kind of stuff relating to that particular workspace. So we can actually create a collection, and give it any name that we want. We can still say that's right. And from this collection, we can add requests and all. But I have a collection that I want us to use, so we just import that collection here and we use it. That collection already has requests and all, right? Is that fine by us?
Yes.
Okay. I'll share that in the. I'll also share it on. I don't know. I think on the Slack because it's a JSON file. I might not be able to share it on this call. So maybe on Slack. Let's exit. Okay. I'll just share it on the resources channel on Slack. So you can pick it up from there. Yes, I'm sharing it on the resources channel. Let me know if you can see it. If you're on Slack and you can see the collection, please let me know. So I'm just going to import it from here. Um, Files. So yeah. So thank you, Beatrice. So we have our simple grocery store API here, right? So if we open it, you will see a lot of requests. You will see a lot of requests here. I think we have a documentation for this. Let me check. Uh, okay, I'll also share the documentation on Slack. So now we can all go along with it the way I'm using it. So please, if at any point you cannot hear me, just let me know. Okay, so I believe we have that already. Yeah. So this is the simple grocery store API. So it's just like a store, our ShopRite stores that we get stores from. We get yeah, anything, just a store, any store you can think of. And we can actually do stuffs that we do physically in these stores. We can do it from the API ends, right? We can we can check the products. We can place an order. We can use a cart. Of course, when you enter a mall or a store, you pick up a cart where you put your stuffs and all. So we can actually do all of those things here too. Okay, I think we should we should look at the documentation. Now even sorry. So I don't know what are you still seeing on my screen? Is it my Postman or what?
The
Yes, we
postman,
can see your
simple
postman.
grocery
The
store is
postman
here.
screen is what's displayed.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So I don't know. Do I have to be switching from the documentation to the API? I believe you all have, most of you have access to the documentation I shared, right? So I might not need to be sharing screens and all. So looking at the documentation, it says, or should I just share it? Okay, I can just share it. And we can always move from. So this is the simple grocery store API. So it says this API allows you to place a grocery order which will be ready for pickup in the store, blah blah blah. So the API is available at this is like the base endpoint, the base URL, right? And the alternative URLs. So these are the endpoints. You have the status, and this status helps us to know what is the status of the API. Is it up? Is it down? It's just like when you enter it, you want to enter a store. Is this store open or is it closed? You want to know the status of the store before you enter, before you go there. So that's like what this endpoint does. So this is products where you can get all products. You can view all the products that is available in that store, or you can actually check for a single product in that store. And this is a cart, your basket where you get one basket, then you start picking your products into your cart. That's your cart items. You can create a new cart. You can add an item to your cart. You can modify an item in your cart, and replay there is a lot that you can do with this and others too. You can get all your orders. You can create a new order. You can do stuff. And also the API authentication. You can register a new API client, right? A new person that is going into the store to go and get the stuff. So this is actually how the endpoints work. So the status is used to get the status of this particular endpoint, if it is up or down. Status up indicates that the API is running as expected. So no response or any other response indicates that the API is not functioning correctly. Okay. So like these are the products and these are the things you can do with the products endpoints, right? You can actually, it returns a list of products from the inventory. So you can also have parameters. Parameters is just like filter. You can filter the products that are returned by categories, and it receives a string value and all. So there's no query required. So results to integer and available is like a Boolean value, true or false. So you have all like that, status code 200 OK and 400 by. So everything is just there, and this is what the products look like. We are still going to see this in our Postman, how this works and all. So we can just go through the what's it called now, the documentation. Yeah. So let's return back to our Postman. Yeah. So we are here. Okay. So when I am presented with a collection like this, the first thing I just try to do, I'll just try to run the collection to even see what's going on, how it works, if there is anything, and none of those things. I just want to run it just to see. So yes, you can see the collection running, but we don't have any test inside, right? It is okay, but we don't have any test. Nothing is failing, nothing is passing. There is virtually no test inside. So, and it's our job to start adding tests to these endpoints and all. So we can just start with this first endpoint. It says API status. So let's just send it and see what it returns. So it says status is up. That is, it is fine. Look at the response code is 200 OK. So I spoke a little bit about response code. I don't think I spoke about the API methods. So we have different API methods. You can see them from here. We have the get, we have the post, we have the push and patch, delete and all. There are more than this actually. But most times we use, I think this one to maybe this first five. Let's just say this first five most times. For some people, it's just get and post, then delete, right? But let me just say this first five. So what does get does? Get is to actually fetch something from a server. Just like when you search something on your Google, you are trying to fetch, you are calling a get request. So you are trying to fetch a data from Google server, right? That is what get does, and that's what we just did now. We just fetched to know that this API is actually up and running. Say status is up, right? And post is actually used to send something to the server. You want to send a resource. Say you want to sign up for your on your Facebook, or you want to even log in on your Facebook. It is still a post request because you are trying to send in your details. In the place of login, you are sending in your email address and your password. In the place of signing, you are sending in your names and every other thing into the server. So, and you still get a response, right? We also have put. This put is used to actually modify. You want to modify a result. Say that you sign up with your name, right? And you want to change your name, maybe your first name, or you want to change your last name. So this is what put is used to do. You want to change. Patch is also like put is used to also modify, or it's used to modify like say like a tiny part of the old resource, right? So the difference between put and patch is that in put now, if I say my name is Kende Odunuga, that's what we have on the server, and I want to change the Kende to Taiwo Odunuga. I can use my put, and then I'll still specify Taiwo and Odunuga in my body, right? And I send it, then it change. You will still see how all that works here. But for patch, wow, for patch, we are trying to just change maybe the first name alone, right? We just send in the first name. And for delete, of course, we know what delete is. We want to, like delete a resource from wherever it is. So, and if you try methods that do not work with a particular endpoint, you will not get a successful response. You can see 404 not found because it says the resource could not be found. Check your endpoint and request method, right? Because that's not the designated method for it. To use this to still not work, right? Until you use the designated one. That's why our documentation is very, very important. Our documentation guides us on how to use our endpoints, right? It guides us on what kind of method to use and how to just use our endpoints. So this is like the API status of this simple grocery store, and it is up, right? Okay, before we just continue, let me just speak a little bit about. Okay, I think I've spoken about params, which is to filter records. We will still use it later. We have authorization too. Yes, in terms of when you want to log in, you need like some bit of authorization to do that. It can be a key, it can be a token or anything, right? We have headers too. We have hidden headers here. Postman comes with its own pre preloaded or headers or something. I don't know. It's sharp pre headers kind of. Yeah. So we have a body to where you can specify. This is where you can like say, okay, I want to send in a name and a password, right? And all. So Toby, Toby, you want to ask a question?
Yeah, thank you
Okay.
so much, Kende. Yeah, I would like to know the difference between a query param and path param.
Okay, all right. So, okay, when we look at these our endpoints, we have a base URL here, and we have like a path and all. So we also have what's it called now? So, okay, just in the course of using these endpoints, we are still going to see how the differences between the params and the path, right? I think that's what you asked, right? Don't worry, we are going there, and we are still going to see that once we get into some of these endpoints. So I believe when we get there, it would be more explanatory then. So let's let's just move ahead, right? So we have pre-request script and we have the test and we have settings. We'll see how all that is done in our APIs. Okay, so this is we have how many minutes left on this call? Then let me open this link before it throws us out. Okay. All right. Okay. So yeah, so this is the endpoint to get all products, right? Before we just start, okay, I don't know, let's just run this first and let's see. So we can see we have products, right? We have products category, coffee, the name of the product, if it is in stock, true or false, we have them. We have fresh produce, it is in stock. We have fresh produce, meat, seafood, and so we have a lot of them. I think this is 20, right? I don't think this can be over 20. This is 20 results that it is showing. So these are all the products that we have in in the store. So we can actually we can design our test suite in such a way that we segment we put our test in segments, right? So we can actually create a folder inside a collection. Say add a folder, right? We can call this folder maybe authentication. We can just call it authentication, and we can have our API status inside this our authentication folder, because of course this API status is also trying to know if the API is fit to use, right? So we can have it inside the API inside the authentication folder. So we can also have another folder that we can call the product add folder, and we can just call it products, where we do anything that pertains to our products. You can still have another one called others. Yeah. So if we need to add more, we'll add in the course of our test. So we can just move this our API status inside this authentication folder. It is there now. You can see it is there. It's just for us to clean up our work so that we don't have all of the endpoints together just here, right? It helps to make our collection look more neat and clean, right? So okay, let's look at the products. Says get all products. We can move these also into our products. We can move these also into our products. And mind you, we can also create more endpoints. You don't just need to work with these endpoints alone. We can create more. So yeah, get all products. Yeah, for okay, so we have products that has been returned. I don't know how many minutes we have left, so that we don't just before this call ends. I mean, so but let's just continue. So we have different products. It's just like you walk into a store and you check their shelves. You check, and they have categories. They have a shelf for coffee. They have a shelf for fresh produce. They have a shelf for meat, seafood, and all that. They have a shelf for candy, and they have a shelf for dairy. Different shelves. Another one for bread, bakery. So different shelves like that, and we can actually filter for these results, right? Say, okay, I don't want to just when you're inside a mall or a store like this, and you're just looking at everything, you kind of look lost. But if you have what you want to buy in mind, you just go straight to that place. Okay, if it is candy we want to buy, we go straight to where candy is, and that's where we can use this category params to filter. Let's filter for candy and see that it returns filter for candy, and yeah, the result says 20. Even if we don't have, if we don't activate this, we still get results for candy alone. And once we send our request, you see that it's returning just candy, and candy is just three. Even if we leave this on and we send our request, it will still return everything. But if we change this to two now and we send our request, you will see that we have two products alone. You can see just two products alone. So like that's how these our params work, right? You can filter. I think there are like three filters that we can do from that documentation. Let me just check. You can also check on your end, but I think we have like three filters that we can actually use for this endpoint. Okay. So we can also check if it is available or not, right? We can check if a particular um, a particular product is available or not. So when we use the available filter here or params, and if we set it to false, I don't think it will return. Yeah, you can see that it's not returning anything because those products are actually available, right? So this will not return anything if it is false. But if you set it to true, then you get the product, right? It's just the way we use our daily normal store. You enter a store and you want to check if something is available on the shelf or not. Okay, you say candy. Is candy available? Okay, what is the name of the ones they have? They have Kinder Joy eggs. They have Cadbury milk chocolates, right? So, and this one is just to streamline how many results we want it to print. We can just take it out and it will give us everything that we want it to print. So this is all of the candy we have in the store. So you can also do that for any other one. I think we have meat, seafood, or something. Yeah. So you run this, then it returns for all of the meat, seafoods that we have, and everything is true. So I don't know if we have any product that is false here. Mm, let's just check all products. Okay, we have some that is false from the fresh produce. Um, I think that's the only one that is false, right? So we are still going to write tests for for all of these endpoints that we have. And also you can get a single product too. It's still under products, right? And yes, that's when we have the query params and the path variables now. So if you look at our params now, we can actually set a category, right? And say, okay, we want a category from coffee. But I'm not sure about this product ID now because we did not check. But then let's just send it and let's see what it brings. Okay, so it's actually the right product ID. So this path variable helps you to streamline um, um, you know downwards to a particular resource you are trying to call, right? It's just like when how do I put this now? Um, so it's just like in the store too. When you are inside the store and okay, you want to buy say coffee. We have different kinds. You can say tea or something. We have Milo, we have Bonvita, and we have all kinds. And you are like, I want this exact type of Milo, right? Say you don't want the refill one. you want the one in the can, or you want the one in, I don't know if they have the one in a box or something. So the path variables helps you to further streamline to a particular one that you want, right? A particular resource that you want it to return. So these query params can kind of be like a general, right? Yeah, it's a general one. The category, everything is coffee, and it can even be a type of coffee, Milo. But you still need to still streamline it downward, further. That's where this comes in, and this is the product ID. Um, I think we should start writing tests for our endpoint as we go, so that we can actually write um, a test for this one, right? Even though the response is not much, but of course we can write tests. We can write we can write tests for it, right? So to write a test, you just need to come here. And one of the beauty of Postman is that it has provided you with code snippets, right? Yeah, they are embedded here, whereby you can actually check for different um code snippets, formats that you can use in writing your test. We have them: get an environment variable, get a global variable, get a variable, and also set a variable. We are still going to do those ones to send a request, status code. Okay. I know you want to say something. Oh, okay. Oh, all right, no problem. I think we should just wait a bit for others to join back. So Adobe, please let me know once I can continue. I think others are still joining. Uh, 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 okay, okay, it's all right. So All right, I believe you guys can see my screen. Okay. So as I was saying, we can actually write tests for all of our APIs, right? So we can actually test for this response, and that's like the basic thing or the major thing about API testing. Uh, Like I said earlier, it is all about requests and responses. You send a request and you receive a response. This is the request that we are sending, and this is the request that we are receiving. So we need to test that this is actually the request that we are getting, right? We can test for status of responses. 200 is okay. That is, it is a successful response. So what if we send this request and it's giving us like a 400 or something? Or what if we send it and it's giving us like a 500 or something? So that's why we need to write tests in order to cover up for this. So we can actually use any of these snippets, right? So look at this one, says like status code is 200. So this is like a JavaScript function to actually test for this response that okay, we have a 200, okay, right? So when I send my request now, you see that we have our test result and it passed 200, okay. But what if I change this to 201 and send my request to fail because we are expecting a 200? It says response expected response to have status code 201 but got 200. Yes. So in our test, we are expecting 201, but it is 200. So it has to fail, right? So we can change this back to 200, then send our request again. And yeah, so and we can save. So please, if you have any questions, you can ask, right? Just in line of what I'm doing presently, if you are not very clear. So you can actually ask, right, before like we have a general question and answer. So yeah, so and also you can actually write a test for this status that is up, right? We can actually do something like this and say, okay, we want to test for um, response is correct. And you can say like status response or status message. So let's say, oh, say response message is correct, right? So PM to expect. Okay, let me just try. We actually need to like declare like a variable for this our response, but okay, I can just quickly do that. You can say variable response is equals to pm dot response dot json. Yeah, so we can then use, so what I've just done here is to tell Postman that this response that is coming in, all of my response body here, let us call it response. Let us put it in a container called response, or a box called response, and we are now going to use it here in our test. So we expect our response dot this status that is here to equal up. Yeah, so we have just written a test for this status that okay, oh, is this status actually up? Let us test for this. So if you save and run, so that now we have two results. And the first one is this, to be sure that our status HTTP status code is correct, 200 okay. And this one is to tell us that our response message is correct, which is up. And mind you, if I change this to up like this, our test will definitely fail, because it is case, it is case sensitive. This is like a string, right? And this up string and this off string is different. So it will definitely fail, that we are expecting a capital letter UP, not a small letter UP, right? So you can just change it back, then send it. So there are a lot of tests that you can write. Actually, there are a lot of tests that you can write. You can write a test that this particular response is not empty, right? You can write a test that it actually returns a string value and all. So there are plenty of them that we can explore. You can see them from here and you can also explore them. So I think we can just continue with these basic ones, right? So yeah, so we have tests for our API status now. So let's even start looking into products, and let's kind of start placing orders for our products and all. So yeah, this is okay. We have checked this before. This is all of the products that we have in our in our um, in our store, right? We can also write the same test that we wrote for these ones, that we have a 200 okay and all. We can write it for our products too, right? But then, of course, we don't have a status here, so we need to modify this one. So what we have is we have names, we have ID, we have category, we have names, we have in stock, right? So we can actually write a test for this first one to say that this ID here is 4643, right? Or this category here is coffee, or this name here is this, and this in stock is actually true. So how do we do that? We have already declared our variable here, that is response for all of these things that is here. So we can then streamline down to this particular one. So this is like the first response in this our response body. So we can say yeah. So and also we just need to like know a bit of JavaScript in order to actually use our Postman APIs well, because you do a bit of some programming and all. So this is like an array of products, right? I think this is 20 products here. It's an array of products, and in programming, there is a way our arrays are numbered, right? This particular array here, this product here, will take like the position 0, right? We'll do that, and this is 1 and 2 and all like that. So we can say our response here and put this inside an array, since it's an array dot id. We are looking for this 0 means that we are actually concerned with this first product in the array, and dot id to equal say 4643. And now this is a number, an integer, so it does not need to be inside any string, inside any quote. I mean, so you can just have it like this. Once I put this inside a quote, the postman will be seeing it as a string, which it is not here. It is not a string, it is an integer. So if I send this, we should have a successful response. Yeah, you can see our test passed. So it says, okay, maybe we can just change this. We can tweak this our message and say ID for product one. Product one is valid or is correct, right? And you send again, you see. So you see the message. So it is actually correct. We can actually write, we can write a lot. And also we have our console here too that logs everything, all of the requests that we have been running, right? We have them here. Everything you can clear it, and you can actually check for stops. You can log out stops on your console. You can log for anything. So the response actually helps to streamline your test. The things you have in your response body actually helps to streamline your test, right? So I can actually check to see that product number 20. So this is product number 20. This last one is product number 20. So we can actually print out the name of this product. I want to know that, okay, this product number 20, if this is the name here. So I can actually do something like console.log, and I I say response. Of course, everything here is the response. I say response, and I open my array and put 19. 19. So remember that our count starts from zero here. So if this starts from zero, the last one has to be 19, even though it is number 20, the 20th product, but it has to be 19. Then we can say dot name, right? This name to be equal to this. Let's see. So and say to equal this, right? And our test. And we just, oh no, what am I doing? Sorry, we are not writing a test yet. Let me just remove this. So this is just to log this name, and if you send it, you can see 2,800 watts inverter generator. This name that we are logging. If we want to log this one, we just need to change this to 18, and we send it again, and it gives us low fat vanilla yogurt, which we have here. So that's how to actually check for your some of these your responses. You can use your console log to check for it and all. So yeah, and we can actually set variables too. We have variables. We have um, different types of variable in our Postman APIs. So just like I said earlier on, we have like the global variable that you can always use anywhere within um, your your workspaces and all. So we also have environment variables too. Environment variables that you can use within an environment. We are still going to create an environment. This is like an environment. We can create one, right? We have collection variable that you can use within this collection. Yes, so we actually have some collection variables here, and that's where our endpoint is, right? This our endpoint that we are using. That's why you can see just base URL here, because this endpoint has actually been stored. This base URL has actually been stored in a variable in the collection. This is the collection variable, and this is it, right? It's the same thing as what we have here. When you go over on this, you see it's the same thing. So yeah, we are still going to do more on that, and we have data variable too. So data variable are just like variables used inside our test, like where is it? So like something like this that we used here, it's just inside within our test and all. So we have the variables like that. I think we should create an environment, right? I think we should create an environment that we can use alongside these requests, and we can always create an environment here. You can have a test environment, you can have a production environment, you can have any environment. So I think let's call this environment simple grocery. Yeah, simple grocery. So, and we can always add variables to our environment. Can always add variables to our environment. Um, Yeah, and just like you say, use variables to reuse values and protect sensitive data. Yeah. So looking at this, our product endpoint, because this is like where the main products are before we even come to create cards and others. So we can actually set some variables, right, that can be used and reused in the course of um, our tests, right? So and again, okay, before we start setting variables too, it's always good to manage our collections and our environments well, so that you don't just have variables flying everywhere. You don't have variables flying everywhere. Mind you, we can still use our collection variable too, just like what's used there. We can continue to use it here. We can continue to use our collection variable in this place, right? So I don't know, should we use the collection variable or the environment variable? Which one should we use, guys? Which one should we stick to? Hello, guys. Are you here with me?
Let's use the collection.
Okay, the collection variable. All right. So, okay. All right, then we stick to the collection variable then. Okay. To get product, we can get a single product. We are still coming back to the get product. Okay, I think we have done this and we did this. Okay, this get product now. Um, let's try to get this particular product. This one, this one. I want to get this one with ID 1225. We just need to come here and change the product ID to 1225. Then we send. You can see fresh produce, brushless, armor juice, and all. That's the products that we highlighted here, right? And these our products name. We can actually set it in a variable, right? Because we always need to come back and come and change this one to another number, and come and change this one to another number, and all. But we can actually put it in like a variable and say we want to call the name of the variable. I don't know what we can call it now. I don't want us to use the ID name, and these names look kind of much. Like we can just call it like fresh produce, right? We can use the category to name the this product ID. Then we can just use like maybe fresh produce one and fresh produce two and all of those things. So what we need to do here is just to like highlight these. You see set as variable, and um yeah, so set as new variable, right? And we can call the name. We can just call it this. Oh, that's gone. Sorry. That's very good. Then a new variable. We can call it this and say. fresh produce one. So we can select a scope. Do we want it to be a global variable? So let's use the collection variable, just like we suggested. And so you can see this changed. This is still the same thing as 125. This is not here, and we put this number exactly here. It's still the same thing, right? If we still send this, we still get this result. And if we go back to look at our um our collection now, we can see the fresh produce one here with the value and all here, right? So we can all see it here. So yeah, like that's one of the importance of variables. So okay, I think we should just try and create a new cart. Then from there we'll do some other things, but we still need to be coming back to this endpoint because they are like the main endpoints in this class. So let's just try and create. You can also write tests for this, right? So just because of our time, you can write tests for this. Let's not keep writing tests for everything. So creating a new cart. If you check the documentation again, let's not forget we have the documentation that will guide us to do everything that we are doing. If you check the documentation and you check the parts where you create a new cart, right? So it says to create a new cart, you submit an empty post request to the cart endpoint, and okay, it returns the ID in the response body. No parameters are accepted for this request, and the status code should be 201. That is, the request is successful. And your body should be something like this. The response body should be something like this. Created should be true, and you should have a cat ID. So yeah, so to create this new cart now, we don't need params, we don't need body, we don't need anything for now, according to the documentation. We just need to send this, right? So you can see our cart has been created and we have a 201 created. So these are tests that you can write. You can actually write a test and say response code should be 201 created, right? 201 created, right? And you can actually write a test that this created at is actually true. You know, we can write a test for that. So instead of just typing, I can come here to copy this format and come back here and put it here. If I want to copy my variable, I can just put that here. Okay, so now if you look at this cat ID is always changing, right? I know something failed there. Yeah, so this cat ID is always changing. If I send it again, it will change, right? So this is one of the reasons why we need to set up some things in our test so that we can have them managed well, right? So if I look at the get card, I will see all of these things that I've created. I know there's nothing here. We'll come to that. Yeah, the results could not be found. Okay, no problem. So we can actually set an environment variable here, like our collection environment variable here, such that this our cart ID will go and store in this our cart ID here. This our cart ID here that we have in our environment. Where's our environment again? Our collection environment, collection variable. Yeah, okay. So we have cart ID already, but we don't have anything yet. So the thing I would have done is just to come here, copy this one, and come back to this get cart and come and replace this with it, which will give me a successful response. But on the long run, it will be stressful. You can see it created a cart, but it will be stressful because I will need to be coming here to come and replace this with this value, which is not a best practice, right? So we just need to like write we need to like set this in in um in our collection variable such that whenever we run it, this will always, replace whatever value is there. So how do we do that? Postman has helped us. Postman has um, a lot of functions that we can use. So, collection variables dot set, then we open a bracket and we put the the variable key, which is this cat ID. We put it here. Then we put this value here. So we cannot actually put this exact value here, right? Because it keeps changing. So what we do is we use our response, right? We use this our response and call this out. So we can say we can do something like let um cat ID equals response dot cat ID, right? So if we console log this now, if we console log this our cat ID, you will see that it will give us whatever value we have here. If we console log it, cat ID. So if we send this to our console, let's clear this and send. So you can see this value here. You can see that it's the same thing with what we have here. So whenever anything we send, it will keep changing and changing to whatever we have here because we have been able to manage it in our test here. So we can then use this cat ID here, right? Because that's the key. That's the value of the key we are looking for. This is the key and this is the value. So the key is cat ID and the value is this, which we have set already in our test, right? So I can just comment this out, right? Yeah, and we can write a test that this created is true for this one. So we can just say response body is correct or is true or something. So this is just like writing test cases too, right? And we change it. We are expecting this response dot created to remove all of this. Will be equal to this value, right? And if we send this, our test should pass. You can see that the response body is correct. Even though this value is changing, our test will keep um, okay, our test will keep passing, but then, okay, this is what we actually wrote a test for, not this. But then, there's a way we can also write for this too, such that our test will still keep passing, even when we continue to send this request and it keeps changing, right? So you can save this. So creating a new card. This is a new card that has been created, and we have put our we have set a collection variable for this cat ID. So we have it in our collection here. We have this cat ID in our collection here. This what we have, this 8L whatever is still the same thing that we have here. Yeah. So that's like how to like we have managed that well. So if you now come to this get cat and if you over around it, you can see that it has a value now. Like before that, it does not have anything. Now it has a value. Then if you call it, you will get a response. but we don't have any item inside yet. That's why it is telling us that, yeah, this is an array, but nothing inside. It's just like a basket. You enter ShopRite to pick up a basket. And when you are entering, your basket is empty. There's no item inside your cart. Your cart is your basket, right? Or maybe a normal cart that you are pushing. So there's nothing inside yet because we have not shopped. We are just entering and we have not even picked any product to shop. And this is like when we created it. This is the date that it was created. So we can actually save this, and we can if we come to get cart items, we'll still not have anything because we don't have anything in our cart. Yes, though we have a cart, we have picked a cart, but we don't have anything in our cart yet. So we need to place orders, right? We need to start putting stuffs in our cart. We need to start dropping things in our cart. So we need to like add a cart item. So maybe we'll just create another folder and we can call it cart. And call it cart. And we can put any request that is pertaining to cart inside this folder so that we don't just have all of our requests flying everywhere. Yeah. So it makes our work neat, right? We are still going to fix all of this inside any of these folders. So this is our cart folder, right? So it says get cart items. If we still look at the documentation again, you see that okay. So okay, add an item to cart allows the addition of items to an existing cart. Only one item can be added at a time, and blah blah blah. So it's the parameters are cart ID, product ID, and the quantity of what you want to like get, right? And we have a request body too that will tell us the product ID. So let's just try that out. So I think that will be add item to cart. This might be inside this place. Our cart is empty at the moment. We can add an item to this. So these are our cards, right? If you look at so here now we have a product ID. Let's check this 4646. What product is that? So that's why we need to come back. So it's the first product 4646. This is the first product, and it is a coffee, right? So also we can, just like we set the other product ID in what's it called now, in an environment, we can also set this as coffee, right? And we can keep calling it anytime. We can set all of our products inside in an environment, in a variable, right? We can set it there and we can keep calling them for easier use. But then let's just use this 4343 to 4643 to add an item to our cart. So what this means is that we want to add this product, this coffee, this Starbucks coffee variety inside our product. And in stock, it says it is in stock. That is true. It is in stock. So it is easy for us. It's actually on the shelf for us to pick up. So let's just add it to our cart. And okay, this is the product ID here. So the params. So the cart ID, which is our basket ID. Let's try to send this and see what it returns. So it returns true, right? It has been added, has been created, and we have an item ID again that has been created for this particular what's it called? This particular cart item. So we can do the same thing and add put this in a variable so that, because when we send this again, we'll have a new. Okay, it says this product has already been added to the cart, 400 bad request, you can see. So that means we need to like change change the product. Um, yeah, so I think I don't know. We can end around maybe before 11 or so. I think there's a lot of work to actually do here. It's not like API is something that we keep doing and we get better at it, right? So there is a lot that we can actually do, and we have limited time. So I think we can just see what we can do between now and 11. Then we call it a day, and most likely if we are going to like have a makeup class or something, if we don't finish, we can organize that. So I believe that's fine by us, right? So yeah, so sorry guys. Uh, so not meant to be, yeah.
Good morning, Mr. Kende. Okay, my
And
question is, how does one get better at designing test cases? I'm assuming that with practice, like you said, one would know what to look out for and know where to test
yeah,
and know, okay, general places where there might be bugs. But coming from someone who needs to gather that practice, like how does one, okay, I remember when I was switching to software testing, where she said one cannot say you've run out of things to test. Like when she did the truth, false, false, true
yeah,
table, two times two raised to power. Yes, exactly. Now, in this case for API and with the cat and these environments that we're testing,
yeah.
that's the
Grocery
what do
store.
you call it? Yes,
Yeah.
this grocery store. How does one, like me, if I was given the job of being a tester now to test like Conga side,
Hmm.
it means there's going to be a whole lot of like really very many things to test. But how do I begin to, like, do you have any, how do you, if it was you, how would you attack such, like, what are the best practices? Where are the first places to go to? Knowing that there's a whole number of things to test. But I know there's a number of things to test, but how do I still know what to test? Okay, first things first, for example, now security. That
Yeah.
I'll try to make some test cases from there.
Hmm.
Then I know, okay, for performance on this Postman now, I know the timing for status 200
Yeah.
will show performance a lot of time, then that means we can improve on it. But other than that, how else do I get other things to test off the top of my head? Or what are the guidelines to know that, okay, like a check mark, if I get a job now or if I get a task, okay,
Yeah.
go and work on
Okay.
this. How do yes, like where do I, other than security and that performance, and that's just like two,
All right.
like how do
So,
I get like 20 in your own from your experience and how you've been working at it?
all right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. So whenever we are testing, right, this is not just to APIs alone now. So the first thing we need to be sure of is like the functionality, right? Is this thing I am testing actually working as it ought to be? Forget about security or performance or load testing for now. The first thing first is the functionality of the application. So, okay, I send this and it actually does what I want it to do, right? And yeah, so once you can cover up the functionality, so looking at this simple grocery store now. So the main function here now is just to like get products, right? You can get products, you can get a cart, you can add item to cart, you can actually this update and delete, they are actually by design. You can do them and you can actually create an order, right? And you can get your orders, right? Those are like the main functions of these endpoints. So once you can do all of these ones, I can get a product, I can get a cart, I can add a product to a cart, I can place an order with it, and once those ones are in place, they are functional, then you can start thinking of other things you can do with the application. Okay, say I have products in my cart. Can I change what I have in my cart? I don't want this one. I want another thing before I actually place the order. Right? We all do that when maybe you're on Udemy course and you add courses to your cart, and at some point you'll be like, I don't have the money for this one. Let me just remove it and just proceed with something else, or a cost that is lesser in terms of the price and all. So those are like the functional stuffs. You put yourself in the shoes of a user now. Like you are a user, when you enter into a store, what are the things that you want to know how to you want to do first? You want to check that you actually have the product you are looking for. You want to check that it is the product. You can put them in your cart and you can actually check out, pay, and you can go. But aside that, you have free time. You can now start strolling about and check. Okay, oh, this product is also here. Okay, what about if I have plenty products in my cart? Can my cart carry it? Okay, what about if I just come in and I pick up a cart and I don't have any products in mind that I want to use and all, and I just get out of the store like that. You can just test different scenarios, but it's important that you actually know that the app functions well before you start looking at other scenarios. Right? It's the functionality that is the main thing. And also in terms of where we have the product requirement document, so that helps to prioritize what to do first, in order not to just be wasting time on what is not right. And just like you said, you can continue testing, you can continue coming up with scenarios and everything, because um, in one of the principles of testing is that exhaustive testing is impossible. You cannot say you have covered all of the old scenarios, right? There will always be scenarios to cover and all. So yeah, I don't know. Have I answered your question, Shola?
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
Yes. So I know
You should
this
just
call.
limit to the scope.
Is that? What did you say?
Okay, so my outlook should be, I should just focus on the priorities. First things
Yeah.
first is the
First,
functionality.
yes. Make sure those ones are in place.
Then later
Uh-huh.
on, when if there's enough time, I can now switch to other things.
Yeah, yeah. So this call is going to end in another 14 minutes, and will not. I don't think we'll be joining another call. So maybe what we'll do is, like, we can wherever we whatever we can cover today will be it. Then we can actually reschedule for another class. Maybe next week, or yeah, maybe next week or sometime later, where we can actually finish up on these things. And one thing I would like us to also do on our end, practice makes perfect. I can tell you that when I started testing, I used to look at APIs like they are they are like they are jargons. Like, what's this? What is this? What's going on? All of those kind of things, and how are people using this and all. I am always afraid of using Postman, all of those things. But we practice, not like I have known everything like that, but then at least I can share some things about it, right? So we have this collection with us. We have the documentation. We can go ahead on our own and write tests for these collections. I'll also try to populate these collections with tests and all. We can write tests that we know we can write on our own, right? So maybe when we come back next Saturday, then we can still now review what we have done and still look at best practices in ways that we can better manage our collections and API and environment. I can tell you there is a lot that we have not even covered today. A lot, especially in terms of writing our test and setting our environment and even cleaning up our tests. Because yeah, when you open some environment, you just see a lot of what's it called now? A lot of variables everywhere flying here and there. So you need to know how to clean up your test too. And maybe we can also look at the collection runner. How you can run your test, whereby you can even skip some tests. When you want to run this test, you want this to run. You don't want a new cart to be created. You want to see your cart items. You don't want to add any other item. We look at how we can skip some of these requests and still proceed, or even come back to this request and proceed with other ones, and all of our tests will be passing and nothing would be breaking and all of those things, right? I think that sounds like a plan, Abby. We can meet next week to actually finish up on this, right? Is that fine? Oh, okay.
Yes, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, Adu. And also we also have an API testing channel on Slack, on the tester Slack. You can join to just get more insights on what API testing is and all of those things. So yeah, so aside from that, any other general questions, any questions at all? Like I can just use this few minutes to answer some questions before we go. Please, let's try as much as possible to practice out these endpoints. Just do stuff, and if you are stuck at any point, you can always reach out to me on Slack through that feedback channel that Adobe just mentioned. Yeah. So any questions at all? Any questions? Maybe one or two questions that I can quickly attend to before we actually leave today. So. Yeah. Okay, I think there is no other question. Maybe we can just call it a morning, right? Please and please and please. It is when you practice that's when you know these things. If you don't practice it, you don't know it. Like as a matter of fact, I use my Postman almost every day, and I'm still learning. There is a whole lot to learn. Postman is very wide. Those of us that are using it, you can testify to that. There are a lot of things inside Postman that you cannot cover in a short time. And yeah, so let's just practice this our collection. We all have it, and if you have questions, ask your question. Anything, just ask on the Slack channel. I think, and there are other people too that can help us in answering those questions. I'm not the only one. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. Yeah. Any other thing? I think that's it for me. Thank you guys for having me here this morning. It's a pleasure. Yeah. So do enjoy your weekend.
Thank you, Adobe.
Thank you so much, Adobe.
Sunday, you have your hands raised up. You want to say something?
No, that was
Okay. All right. Bye, guys.